welcome to the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel. It is time for another monthly chat craft update. I know, time. I seriously cannot be the only one that thinks that we just sat here yesterday in August to talk about all the makes from August, and now we're back here again to talk about all the makes in September. September just really flew by, and I'm just trying to like capture in my head, in my brain, memorize what did I do in September. So tell me, the first thing you think about when I say, what did you do in September? Write that and let me know. When I try to think about what I did in September, I baked cinnamon rolls. Why is it all food related? Like, why is everything I think about food related? Okay, so first of all, thank you for being here today. Thank you for coming to join me for a little crafty session. And oh, most of all, thank you for your lovely comments on my autumn starter pack vlog. I am so glad you found it to be cozy and just really put you in the autumnal mood, because that was my goal when I made it, and I'm happy it, transferred through from the screen to you. And also, thank you for watching the pumpkin vest video. I'm blown away by your response to that, and I couldn't be happier with it. So, in the vein of continuing autumn magic, let's start with my first finished object for today, which is a pumpkin. I mentioned this in the autumn starter pack video. I like to crochet a new pumpkin every year. So this year I unintentionally crocheted a pumpkin that looks like Quasimodo from Hotel Transylvania. And if you've seen the movie, come on, tell me, doesn't it look like Quasimodo? I bet you can't unsee it now. So this Quasi pumpkin is a free pattern or a paid for PDF. You can see it free on her blog, or you can also purchase the ad-free PDF. I really liked this design because of the different top that it had. You kind of crochet in front post, back post stitches to create those ridges. And I always forget how much I actually like working with front post stitches, not back post stitches. Those are a pain to create, but front post stitches, they are lovely. So there's not much to this pumpkin really, except that since I was using a 7mm crochet hook, I should have, in hindsight, used 3 strands of worsted weight yarn together, or possibly 4, and worked at a much tighter gauge so I wouldn't end up with the quasi pumpkin. Should we call this the quasi pumpkin or the Esmeralda pumpkin? I really think it's a quasi pumpkin. Yeah, it's quasi the pumpkin. In the vein of similar pumpkin things, I mentioned in the autumn starter pack video that I like crocheting mug rugs in pumpkin shape and things like that. So I did 2 this year. And with these 2, I've completed my mug rug set. I now have 6 mug rugs and have no need to keep making more, no matter how fun they are to put together. So the first one I made is here, and I shared it in a little reel. And as soon as I finished recording that reel, I spilled the coffee, tea, whatever I was drinking. Wait, definitely tea. I don't drink coffee. Anyway, I spilled the tea all over this. But as you can see, she's been rescued. She's just a little bit wrinkly, and I gotta say, Dreft, D-R-E-F-T, that little spray, really removes any stains. So this was the first one that I finished. All scrap fabrics, all cotton scrap fabrics specifically. Now it looks a little flimsy because Clarissa forgot to do the quilter's batting in that one, and I wasn't going to open it again to put quilter's batting in it, no. So instead I made the 6th one, and I think it might be my absolute favorite. Although I say that about every mug rug that I finish, but I just love putting them together. And this Alexander Henry fabric, it's my weak spot. My weak spot for fabrics are Alexander Henry designs. Also Rifle Paper Co. Like, their designs, and yeah, I have no other words. I really love how I coordinated this one. So to make it, it's pretty simple. You just grab a pumpkin template that you draw yourself, and then you pick your little fabrics, you sew a rectangle, then on top of that rectangle, you're gonna place your pumpkin. And you cut around it, and then you sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or at least that's how I made these. I couldn't be happier with them. They're lovely. Now, in non-pumpkin related crafty adventures, someone sent me a link for the jasmine stitch. It was a lovely viewer of this channel, so thank you for that, because it reminded me that I never shared with you what I made with the jasmine stitch. So we're going to remedy that. Now, why this a sudden interest in the jasmine stitch? Well, I bought a Japanese crochet book that everything in there is made with using the jasmine stitch, and I thought it was a very great way of learning new techniques, you know, how to shape this one stitch into all these different items. And one of the things in the book was to do a coaster. It was a color work coaster. Now, in my design, it failed a little bit because my yarns weren't contrasty enough for the color work, but I didn't want to compromise on the yarn. I really wanted to use these scraps of Stitchcraft and Wizardry yarn that I had left. This is merino, 80% merino, 20% nylon, so it's fingering weight blend, but with the jasmine stitch, it just became so squidgy. Like, it's a beautiful mug cozy, and I highly recommend that you use the jasmine stitch for a mug cozy because it feels beautiful. Also, I think it would make some great fingerless mitts. It'll keep your hands very, very warm. If you're interested in that Japanese crochet book, I will put the link to it in the description box below, because getting books shipped from Japan to the US is cray cray. Okay, it is. So instead, I bought an ebook. There is a website that allows you to buy ebooks. It is in their own, what do you say, platform. So you can download that app or you can view it online after you purchase it. And it wasn't expensive. I think it was, when I purchased it with the exchange rate, it wasn't too pricey. I think I ended up paying $9 US for it. And I am planning on making a lot of those jasmine stitch patterns, so well worth it in my opinion. But I will say it was tricky, even following the chart and trying to figure out when to change colors and all that. It was a little bit tricky, but I'm glad that I attempted it. Now, those are all the finished items that I have to share with you today. So we can move on to works in progress, of which I have 3 right now that I'm going to share with you. The first one is a little update on the Love Magic sweater. Now, the Love Magic sweater is a knit design from Disco and Stitch. You've heard me say that before, but in case you're new here, hello, and I'm going to repeat it. Okay, so I am almost done with the body. I am knitting this with Kobu yarn, so it is a cotton bamboo blend yarn, DK weight, and I'm using 4.5mm needles instead of the 5 that the pattern recommends. But I did that on purpose because my gauge, I always tend to go down half a needle size or 0.25 of a needle size to keep me on gauge and on track. I am making size 2, and as I'm almost done with the body, I've started to think about the sleeves and what I'm going to do with them. Now, part of me does want to crochet the lovely bell sleeves that are included in this Love Magic sweater. You have 2 options. You have very dramatic Morticia style bell sleeves, which gorgeous but inconvenient. And we also have some more, slightly less bell sleeves. However, those are both long sleeves, and I'm just thinking that maybe perhaps I should make short sleeves so that I don't bake. But I don't know. What I've decided is that after I cast off for the body, I will try it on and knit a little bit of sleeves. If I do like how the short sleeves look, then I'll leave it at that. But if not, I will go for the smaller bell of the sleeves. I don't think I have much to add about this pattern. I mean, I'm making it for a 2nd time, and I even want to make it a 3rd time, so you know I like it. And the yarn, I really like how it's working up with the yarn. It feels very soft, but also just comfortable to work with it. So I'm very happy with that Love Magic sweater. Will I finish it in time for, you know, spooky season? I don't know. Continuing with our green theme, the Bog Witch sweater. This is, well, technically it is the Eat Cake sweater pattern. If you've made it before, you know that we crochet with fingering weight wool, but for this version, I decided to do fingering weight cotton. I am using Curio number 3, which is a yarn from We Crochet, in the lichen color, and I'm also using the 4mm hook that the pattern was designed with. However, because mercerized cotton is so dense, this is coming out pretty heavy, and I'm actually thinking that I could have gone up to a 4.5mm crochet hook size for a more drapier fabric. So what I'm thinking is that after I finish this side panel, I am actually going to wet block the piece and see how I like the fabric that I've created. If I don't like it, then I will be frogging this back and using a larger crochet hook to create it. Does that give me a little, you know, a little bit of like, really? Yes. But as we've discussed previously in this channel, I think it's better to rip back a project that you don't like to create something that you're actually going to use a lot more. So that is the Eat Cake sweater. The other item that I have to share with you is also a crochet top. I'm not going to discuss it too much because I am recording a vlog for it, and it is the summer fan top. Now, the summer fan top originally was crocheted using a fingering weight cotton cashmere blend. But this time I decided to go crazy and use a ball of Opal Van Gogh yarn, and this is the sunflower, I don't know what that painting is called, but that's this skein of yarn imitates the sunflower painting from Van Gogh. Now, I only had 100 grams, so this is going to be a very teeny top, okay? But I just wanted to show you how to work up the top and how to make adjustments to fit for you and not just, you know, following the pattern. So for this version, I'm going to be using two different types of yarn. One's a fingering weight wool and the other one is a alpaca kind of fuzzy mohair type yarn. Now, since I am almost ready to start the top part of the back panel, it is time to actually get back to recording the changes for this top so that you can follow along or make your own changes. So this is the summer fan top, even though you can't really tell. For works in progress and crochet finish items, this is all I had to share with you today. I know, it's actually a very small hoard, but I've actually not been crocheting that much. I've had a lot of issues with my shoulder, so I've been taking it easy on the crochet. But I do have some incoming goodies that are just nudging me and saying, hey, you can crochet. Just, you know, crochet 10 minutes and remember to take a break and do some stretches, which is hard because once you get into the crochet flow, you don't want to stop. So these incoming goodies were not gifted to me. I purchased both of them, okay? The first one is the most buttery, squishy yarn ever. This is a new yarn line from We Crochet, and it is, the yarn line itself is called Yakish. It is a blend of alpaca, merino, and yak. And the stitch definition is beautiful. I started a swatch with it because I had to. As soon as I opened it and felt how lovely and buttery this yarn was, I had to do a swatch with it. Now, what am I actually going to crochet with this? I have no idea. Truly no idea. I bought 200 grams thinking, oh, I'll probably crochet a vest. But now that it's in my hands, I feel like I should have purchased more of it. Does that also happen to you? You purchase like a cautious amount, and then when it actually gets here, you're like, oh, I need all of this. So this is Yakish in the color Gilded, which is like an olive bronze color. It is beautiful. I would say it's like a bronze color with green undertones, like more green undertones. So I highly recommend this yarn just based on the feel alone. I haven't actually crocheted, finished an item, or washed it, but just on the feel alone, I think you are going to enjoy Yakish. And it's going to have beautiful drape because the main fiber is alpaca. Another yarn that I had was a little treat to myself. This is beautiful, gorgeous yarn. It is indie dyed, as you can probably tell because it comes in a hank. So this is dyed by the Little Wolf Knits. It was a pre-order. I completely forgot it was a pre-order, and I messaged her a month after I placed the order. I'm like, hey, I don't mean to rush, but did the package get lost or something? And she very kindly said, no, it's a pre-order. And I was like, oh, right, my bad. I was like, oh, you know. But anyway, the colorway is Guac. and this is 274 yards, 100 grams of superwash merino. She classifies this as a DK weight, but I almost think it's a light DK closer to sport weight, and I love it. I love the color. It really looks like guac, but also I see Christmas. So I don't know what I'm gonna make either. I have 200 grams and a total of 500 yards maybe. So we can probably squeeze a raglan top, short sleeve raglan top out of this. I don't know, maybe. Or I should make something that's more in tune with the Florida weather. So maybe a little crop top. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna make with it, but I absolutely am happy to welcome it to my stash. It is glorious, glorious. I love all the different So yeah, I love both of these yarns, the gilded and this guac. I am excited to make something with it. I just don't know what. So give me your ideas. What would you make with this lovely guac yarn? It is superwash merino. Yeah, 100% superwash merino. And the yakish, it is a blend of, as I said, alpaca, merino, and yak. So tell me, what would you make with these lovely, lovely goodies? And another incoming goodie that's not really incoming, it was a PDF pattern that I bought from Keiko Lynn, and it is for a bucket slash witch hat, and I am excited to make it. Am I a little bit scared? Yes, sewing always intimidates me, but I think the biggest problem I'm gonna have with this pattern is probably gonna be printing the pieces to the correct size, because I've bought several PDF patterns lately, and whenever I try printing it so that, you know, the little sample square measures 1 inch by 1 inch, and you know you got it correctly, and you can print all your pattern pieces, and you're not gonna have a mess. My printer, I haven't been able to set it up correctly, so we will see if I have better luck with Keiko Lynn's pattern of actually getting the gauge for it and printing it, because it is so, so cute. I will share the link to the reel in the description box below, but here is a little screenshot of that bucket slash witch hat, and you can't tell me it's not adorable. Well, I mean, maybe you're not into witches, and that's fine, and you won't find it adorable, but still, I love it. I especially love that she made it to match her dress. So those are all our incoming goodies, all our incoming crafty goodies. As for what I'm reading, I borrowed a book from the library from Philippa Gregory. It is an audiobook titled Normal Woman, if I'm not mistaken, and it is a compilation of a history of normal women in England. So it's very ambitious. It starts from the Norman conquest, and it goes, I think it goes all the way up to the 2000s, but I might be mistaken. Listening to this book is both cathartic as well as enraging, because it's beautiful that she's uncovered so much of what normal women did during medieval times, during the Norman conquest, before the plague. It is just beautiful to read about women holding positions of great importance and being able to petition for the status of free man if you lived in a town. And yet it's blood boiling, enraging to also at the same time read how they just had nothing better to do than create all these laws and regulations that would limit women. It just really puts into It's the type of book that really puts into perspective how when you're taught general history, you realize that it really is his story. Like, women are rarely mentioned, even though they made everyday life possible. So yeah, props to Philippa Gregory for writing this, I'm just gonna say this compendium of all these women living their lives and contributing to society and the world around them. And actually, surprisingly, this is the only serious book. Like, it's the only book that I am reading. I'm not reading any fiction. Although, I will say that I was listening to the Hurricane Wars, right? And the more of the book that I listened to, the more that I thought, I have read this before. I have read something very, very, very similar. So I Googled it, and someone said that it was kind of inspired by Reylo, so Kylo, Ren, and Rey from the newer Star Wars trilogy, that it was inspired by. And that just clicked in my head. I'm like, I read a Reylo fanfiction that was really like this. And lo and behold, it turns out that the woman that wrote the Hurricane Wars had also written that fanfiction. I don't know, I just felt so validated. Like, look, I wasn't crazy. This was written by the same person. And you might be saying, Clarissa, since you like that Reylo fanfiction, which inspired the Hurricane Wars, did you like the Hurricane Wars? How do I put this? The Hurricane Wars, the book, wasn't really for me. I really appreciated all the details that she wrote about the world building and just like all the mechanics and all the magic that is in this world. I greatly appreciated that. I thought that was very, very nicely done. However, in terms of our main characters, I did not really connect with them. You had moments of deep introspection that kind of promise or allude to the character now behaving differently, and then they always go back. It's like the female character is like, no, I understand this has to change, this has to go a certain way, and then she always acts how she says she's not going to act. And I don't know, I just found it okay for some of the book, but then for the rest of the book, I'm like, girl, aren't you going to learn? Like, this is what's going to happen, okay? You know this is what's going to happen if you do something, and yet you still do it because it's just like, oh, no, that's not going to happen to me. Thank you so much for joining me today for all this crafty chat. Let me know what projects you're working on in the comments section, and also let me know what really has you excited for fall. Like, what project is telling you, you need to cast on. You need to cast on. Let me know, okay? I love hearing about everything that you are up to. So once again, thank you for joining me today. I will see you in my next video, and until then, happy crafting.